do you care for me? Why do you know?
Hey, come on. Get your stuff. Let's go. Let's try that again. A week ago, I spent my life racing against time.
I'm gonna help you out today, okay?
Trying to save people who were running out of it.
Cassie!
Until one moment changed everything.
Come on! Welcome back to the land of the living.
I don't understand what's happening. I've been having visions. I knew he was gonna die. I think I'm seeing the future.
New York City's a whole new level of crazy these days.
What do you want from me? Why do you know?
New York City's a whole new level of crazy these days.
This is an emergency. Get off the train. That man's trying to kill you.
What?
Who are you? What is going on? I can see the future. Oh, what the hell? She didn't see that coming? That's not how it works. I've seen that man before. So who is he? Ezekiel Sims. He was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died.
Wait, I recognize you. You live in my building.
You're the paramedic. Yeah, you almost ran me over.
You don't think this is weird? How we're all connected?
It's honestly like the least weird thing that's happened all day.
What do you want from me?
I have no idea what those girls are coming.
Why don't you want from me?
I think he can see into the future.
What are you wondering me?
He's trying to change what happens. Julia, get down!
Why aren't you scared of me? Why do you care for me?
Your future was almost so different.
Where do we go?
If you want to live, you have to trust me. Get ready. Now! You're showing off. Maybe a little.
Welcome to They Call This a Movie, testing the strength of friendships one terrible movie at a time. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and other podcast services by searching They Call This a Movie, and find us on Twitter and Instagram at TicTamPod. That's TCTAM Pod. Welcome back to They Call This a Movie. This is Anthony Del Vecchio. With me, as always, is Dan Aquino and Mark Meyer. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hello, friends.
Hello, everyone. Hope everyone had a good Memorial Day weekend. I don't have much for the opening here, unless if we, I guess, do the school thing. What did everybody do for their Memorial Day? Anything fun?
I built a fence.
Nice.
With your own bare hands?
My own bare hands. No. I actually was the ditch digger in this two-man operation. My father-in-law technically built the fence. We were just fixing the fence that broke over the winter from that tree.
So you're able to walk the tree back up in place?
Yeah, it's back up. We put some glue down, so it's back up.
Well,
It's probably gonna hold.
You know what they say, Ant. The world needs ditch diggers too.
It's true.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah. I did nothing fun.
Yeah, not surprising. Dan
Yeah.
doesn't do anything fun.
No. Yeah, my whole life has not been fun. It's
Well, that's fun.
yeah.
I didn't. Not much went on, so I just thought I'd open the floor and see
Mark,
if anything fun happened with you
you
guys.
have to have had done something fun in order to get this bit going.
Yeah, no,
I should have done something fun.
Yeah, no, is his response. Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I streamed way too much Persona on Saturday.
That's
like 9 hours.
That's for the other podcast. Save her for the other podcast, Mark.
Yes.
Well,
You put
this
the onus on us there, man.
Yeah, everybody that I would normally hang out with, in this general vicinity of where I live, we're all not here, so that's why I did not have anything to do.
Well,
So the consensus was no one did anything fun.
no one had fun
No
one
this
had
Memorial
fun.
Day weekend.
And then
Which
we
is,
watched
you know
Madam
what?
Web.
And you know what? You're not supposed to have fun. You're supposed to remember
The
our
troops.
fallen
Got it.
soldiers.
Yeah.
So good.
I am reminded that every single year on social media, right? It's in case you forgot.
It's not National Barbecue Day, guys.
Right. That's true.
All right. Let's try and make this episode a little bit better than how it's going so far.
Yeah, we're digging ourselves a hole here.
Yeah, this week we watched a movie, but before we get into this week's movie, we have a guest returning for second time this year. The number one Dakota Johnson fan I have in my notes here, Jess Sager. Jess, welcome back.
Hello, thank you for having me. I actually was thinking of that when I was preparing for this. I was like, am I just going to be like the Dakota Johnson like beat reporter? I guess.
As we said off podcast, if it's got to be somebody, why not you, right? So how have you been
Doing
since
the Lord's work?
How have you been since we subjected you to 50 Shades Freed?
Oh, I feel like that's a loaded question, but I've been good. I can't tell you whether this movie was better than that or not. I think they're about even. But yeah, life-wise, things are good.
Okay. All right. Yes. So, as mentioned, we watched another Dakota Johnson movie. So, technically, this is our fourth Dakota Johnson movie we ever covered. And that movie is the 2024 release by Sony Pictures, the much maligned Madam Web. So, I don't know where everyone is coming from with Madam Web. Let's go start off with Jess. Jess, where are you coming from with Madam Web?
Okay, so there's some movies that are so bad that they're good, and there are other movies that are just they're just bad. I feel like this one was just bad. There were some parts that could have been campy, but they didn't lean in enough. And there were like several points during the movie where I like left the room, came back, and somehow missed nothing. And I debated rewatching it before we started recording, and I started playing Mortal Kombat instead because I was like, I feel like the result is gonna be the same.
Yeah, probably you made the correct choice.
I was like, I can get all my seasonal gear before this invasion season ends, or I can take a nap, which is the equivalent of watching the movie. And I was genuinely worried. I was like, if I fall asleep watching this, I may not wake up in time to record. So it was rough. It was a rough one. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Dan, where are you coming from, Madam Web?
Oh, so I knew Madam Web from the 1990s Spider-Man cartoon, where there's a story arc where Peter Parker stumbles upon Madam Web, or I think Madam Web kind of enlists the help of Peter Parker. And I remember thinking to myself as a kid, who cares about this character? She's an old woman. Not exciting. I don't really care about that. So Sony Pictures decided this is the perfect character to put in our expanded Spider-Man universe. Everyone loves Madam Web.
Yeah, I mean, there's not like at least half a dozen characters.
I would rather have seen the Aunt May movie over Madam Web. I think that would have been a more interesting, because this movie really banks on you having done your research about Madam Web.
Mhm.
They barely explain her powers. She just kind of does things. I think I don't know what their plan was for this. I don't know what their target audience was. I maybe teenage women or like young adult women. I don't know. But they have 3 Spider Women in it who are only Spider Women for a minute.
Yeah.
That would have been
in a vision.
Yeah, in a vision.
Right.
So to me, I feel as if that would have been the real draw to this movie. Oh, we're gonna see different Spider Women in this, and they'll get to do some cool shit. Nope, they're in a vision.
And they didn't even show how they got the powers either.
Well, Mark, that's for the sequel.
For the sequels.
Those people clamoring for those sequels now. Yeah, I don't know. This movie was a mess. Weird camera effects, like the random mini zoom ins at times. The AI written dialogue. Holy shit! Can we talk? Can we talk about the dialogue?
Oh God, yeah, please.
What were they doing there? I don't know if they were trying to rival Batman and Robin in terms of the dialogue, but it is so jilted and right. It's and maybe it's because none of the dialogue is delivered with purpose or emotion.
Yeah,
but it seems like they're being it's robotic at times. That was my number one problem with this movie. The number two part is Dakota Johnson from scene one doesn't give a shit. She understood the assignment, I guess.
Yeah.
It was like, this is stupid. I'm just gonna treat it like it's stupid.
Yeah. The awful ADR on the villain was
Thank you.
Fun too.
That was really bad.
Yeah.
They didn't even try to hide it in some scene.
Yeah. When I was watching it, I was like, there's just something off about this guy's performance. And then I remembered hearing the whole thing that his entire thing was ADR'd. And I looked it up, and sure enough, I was like, oh, that's why it's just coming off as completely flat, emotionless, and without any sort of impact at all.
The weird thing is, it seems as if they didn't even try to line up the audio with the visuals, because there's a few times where it's way off.
I was trying to figure out the exact find the exact reason why it was ADR. It's entirely possible that they've completely changed plot lines, and that's why it doesn't match up. Is because he's saying something completely different.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That could be it.
Yeah, okay, because his ultimate goal is to just kill the three girls. So maybe he had a different goal in mind, or at the time of shooting. So yeah, I don't know, but my last point here is this movie is ageist because, like I said, in the comics and all other medium, Madam Web is an older woman, so they took away an older woman's role here, I think.
Well,
you could have gotten Helen Mirren to be Madam Web.
That would have been dope, honestly.
Yeah, she's a far better actress.
Yeah.
That would have been great.
And could have also looked great while not giving a shit too.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
It's she's more respectable when not giving a shit.
Yeah. Well, Dan, this is Madam Web 16 years earlier because Ben Parker's in this movie,
right?
As a young man.
I picked up on that reference immediately. I was like, oh, okay. Well,
was it when he was introduced to the girl at the hospital? She introduced him by his full name.
Nope. As soon as they said Ben, like, well, what other Ben would there be in a Spider-Man movie? Or a Spider-Man adjacent movie?
That was the most awkward introduction because they had to do the wink wink to the audience.
Mr. Ben Parker.
Yeah,
Mr. Ben Parker. Well, and then when they introduce Richard, so I was like, oh, well, that's Richard Parker. That's Peter's father.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know what they were getting at. I get it. I know you. You're not sly.
Yeah, they were trying. Yeah, that was, and then they did the power responsibility line in a different way. It was I wonder if that was just AI writing that, and that's how they interpreted that scene.
Well, I think they were trying to make it. They were just trying to make it fresh. Like, oh,
I get it. But
we've heard that saying over and over again. But if we change the wording around, it's a little different. It's fresh. I don't know. This movie's a fucking mess.
Yeah, it is.
All right, Mark, you're chomping at the bit. So why don't you tell us about your experience with Madam Web?
Yeah, so it's very odd. This movie is trash. 100% trash, and not good trash. The one weird thing that happened to me is that normally, when a movie drags and is this bad, it's like, I'm like, man, how much longer? At one point, I looked and it had been an hour, and I'm like, that's only been an hour? They resolved nothing, and it's like almost halfway through the movie. I think the hour mark was when she drops them off in the woods. That's right around the hour mark, and I'm like, what's the second half of this movie? Man, it was all the stuff. I never do this. As you know, I'm the positive voice of They Call This. But
no one's asking you to be either.
No.
Just from every time you bring it up, I want you to know that. No one is asking you to be the positive voice.
Mark shoulders that responsibility.
Yeah.
With great power come down. Even I can finish that.
You need anything up? You need anything while you're up on the cross there, Mark? Can I get you anything?
But it was real bad in the sense that I yelled out loud in my apartment alone. Well, my cat was interested in the movie for some odd reason. Multiple times at Dakota Johnson's character, like, how don't you know what's going on? This is like the third time it's happened.
Yes.
Like you've seen the past. That's what's going on. Like, and then still makes bad decisions despite knowing all that. And then my favorite part, which is what I heard leading up to the movie, is when she just drops them off with Ben and then fucks off to Peru for 30 minutes or whatever that is to learn. Like, she's kind of a wanted person, but somehow gets a flight to Peru. But that's not here nor there. The part in this movie that just confused me, and this is more so because this is my first time seeing Sydney Sweeney in anything.
Mhm.
And you hear all the buzz, you hear all the stuff. I've seen the interview. She seems like a smart girl, but I'm like, okay, there has to be something here if she's becoming a big deal. And she is probably by far the worst actress in this movie. At least of the three girls.
Over Dakota Johnson?
The three girls, not Dakota.
Okay.
I don't know if she was trying to be demure and just really can't pull that off, and was just rather just boring and stilted while doing it. So I don't know if she's some great actress. I haven't seen Euphoria. Maybe it's all that it's just her two assets is the whole reason everybody loves her. Maybe. I don't know. But this movie did no favors in terms of telling me why she's now a big deal.
Real quick, I don't know if you could. Again, I don't know if you can judge the three of them.
Yeah, I get that
because they're not given much to work with.
I wanted a little bit more.
I thought the other girls were good. I thought the girl who played Anya,
yes,
and Maddie Franklin, she played Celeste. I thought they did the best that they could with the little they were given to work with.
Yeah, I think the bar it was the Anya character. Like, she got across the emotion and of what that character is supposed to be as 2D as it kind of is. At least she made me interested in her character and wanted like everything Sydney Sweeney's characters. Maybe it's just the character's terrible. I don't know this character from the Spider-Man universe to begin with. But yeah, that was the other main thing I came away with. Like, maybe I just have to see more stuff she's in to sort of get it. But yeah, and the other fun thing was, because I've seen a lot more of this on social media leading into this, was every time she would come up, she would just talk about being able to hang upside down and keeping true to the character. And I think that happens for like half a second in the movie,
If that.
If that. And there was this big deal made all over the previews for it. I was like, oh, is there going to be like a fight scene? She comes down slowly, sort of, it looks exactly like a comic book shot. And no, it's not anything like that. And also just the setting. Maybe I don't know too much about New York geography, but I want to know where the hell that diner was.
Oh, that was in New Jersey.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Because I was like, they walk out of the woods and it's just this diner in the middle of nowhere.
I thought
that could happen in New Jersey.
Yeah, that could happen in New Jersy. I was still thinking they were on Manhattan Island. And I'm like, where the hell is this diner?
I thought they spoke that diner into existence.
that would be great.
Oh, I can't wait to eat something. And they just walk out of the woods and there's a diner.
That would be a great power for the villain. Like, the villain can sort of hear them or understand, and he needs to get them out in the open.
And so he could just create a diner?
It just creates a diner that attracts them.
Yes. That's his way of attracting his prey. He constructs diners.
Yeah. Well, anything. Just,
Oh, okay. It's whatever they wish for.
Yeah, if they say, oh, man.
So he's a djinn?
Yes, he's a djinn. That's what goes better than, the spider people in this movie did have one of the coolest names for spider people. Just that just sounds cool, calling them, the Spanish name for it. But yeah, it was just everything down to the CG when she's in the water is terrible. Just the way no one thinks she's crazy, or maybe they do think she's crazy, but she has the same, I already mentioned this, but she has like the same scene with the Ben when he's taking her blood pressure, and then later with the name guessing game, and still hasn't put two and two together. And it just is insane. The fight in a fireworks warehouse, the obvious Pepsi placement.
Oh yeah. The Pepsi stuff, I was like, this is a worse Pepsi commercial than that Kendall Jenner one. This is the only thing that's been able to top it.
Yeah, he hands her a Pepsi when she walks into the barbecue.
You look like you need a Pepsi.
No one's ever said that.
It's so good. But yeah, the one thing I'll bless most of this cast with is that in some cases they did what they could with some of the dialogue. I don't know what day of shooting most of the stuff was for Dakota Johnson, but if they shot it in order, then you could see her slowly but surely regretting her decisions as the story goes along. But it makes it even funnier if it's out of order. Like some days she's like, all right, maybe this is good. Then the next day, oh shit, what's this? As she reads one of the sides for that day. And I don't know what Spider-Verse they were putting this in, if they were trying to put it in a Spider-Verse. Like, is it in the Tom Holland one? Was Ben Parker an EMS worker in 2003?
I think it's the Andrew Garfield one.
Is it the Andrew Garfield world?
I think so. Or is that is that not Sony?
Regardless, then that means that Adam Scott, the woman he met, was Sally Field.
Oh yeah.
That doesn't work. It's got to be Marissa Tomei.
Yeah.
But that's not the same one. Marissa Tomei is the Marvel one, MCU. Sony is
which Sony owns. Sony owns the Sony owns the Tom Holland Spider-Man.
That's true. Yeah, they rent it out, right?
Yeah. It's all licensing. Okay. But yeah, it's got to be, and like I don't know. Again, like Dan said, and this will be my final point on it. They give you no backstory on anything really. So like why is she an EMS worker? Was this, like I said, was there a thing where Ben Parker was an EMS worker in the Tom Holland universe? So they had to backfill it in somehow.
I don't think they mentioned Ben Parker at all.
Yeah.
So they had carte blanche.
Exactly. So a lot of this stuff where it comes down to the whole persona and around thing just comes down to they probably had a few ideas in the writer's room or the script writer when he wrote it of cool scenes like going over in the car. That's the first time she gets in the water. Tragic stuff like that. And the easiest way was just make her a first responder, I guess. But yeah, it was a movie that both went quickly but slowly. I don't know how to explain it, but it was a weird watch of a movie. I am glad I was able to watch it on something that didn't have ads and it was not Tubi, because that would have just expanded my dislike. But yeah, this movie, no good.
Okay. This movie, no good. 1.5 stars. For me...
That's the pull quote.
4 out of 5 stars. This movie, no good.
For me, my experience with this movie is twofold. Besides, obviously, hearing all the chatter online. For my work, I work at a healthcare advertising agency, specifically on a drug, at least up until yesterday, specifically on a drug that treats myasthenia gravis, which is the thing that her mom set out to cure by talking to spiders or whatever. So at work, we did try and do a tie-in with this, some sort of sponsorship that did not materialize. But looking at the factual errors, it is probably a good thing that a drug that is trying to not necessarily cure it, but kind of help with the symptoms of myasthenia gravis is not associated with this movie, because the number one error on this IMDb is myasthenia gravis cannot be diagnosed before birth. It is not a genetic condition, but an autoimmune disorder. So a complete misunderstanding of the thing that she was trying to cure.
Yeah,
so.
I love the fact that if knowing what you just told us, Anne, it very much feels like this writer or writers or whatever heard that terminology or disease, like reading a book or something, and thought it sounded cool for a movie and just didn't research it after that.
Well, they couldn't have researched it very long.
No.
But, otherwise, yeah, this movie is not great, but I will defend Dakota Johnson just a little bit. And I will say, in the first half hour or first hour, She is giving what I could only describe as cunt, and I love her for it. She is such a cunt. It's the only way I could describe it. She's an asshole to everyone she comes in contact with. She's miserable, probably because she was miserable in real life. But there was a moment where I was just like, I love the fact that I'm watching a character right now that hates life, hates everyone she comes in contact with. It like a superhero movie. I love it. Having said that, everything else was shit.
I will say the thing that I liked about Dakota Johnson wasn't her acting the movie. It was her on the press tour where she made no qualms about how bad this movie was going to be. She was like, I don't know anything about the character. I don't care. I didn't bother to learn one thing. This is a paycheck.
Yeah, she's doing the actor equivalent of I'm only here so I won't get fined.
Yes. But I love it. I find it refreshing that she just does not care about anything that she's in. I think at one point the studio had to reach out to her and say, please stop bad-mouthing the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did enjoy that, how shitty she was to everybody around her. It's made me laugh. But other than that, yeah, that's what you guys said. The ADR is awful, takes you right out of it. And nothing happens for most of it. It's also weird. I've seen Sydney Sweeney Euphoria, and she is good, especially in the second season. She has some very good acting moments that have nothing to do with her tits. It's weird to try and make her still 16. She's like 26 at this point, and I think that is part of the trouble with her performance, is that she's supposed to be like this wallflower character that they still try and fetishize a little bit with how she's dressed, with like the short skirt and bordering on schoolgirl stuff, and she's like a 26, 27-year-old woman at this point.
Yeah,
where it's a little weird.
Like Lolita style.
Yeah, and I'm sure those other girls are probably not far from her age too.
Yeah.
Obviously she is a bigger star, but I know Isabel Merced was Dora the Explorer in the Dora Explorer movies, so she's probably in her mid-20s at this point. Mm-hmm. But
I don't know if the other ones have crossed the Leonardo DiCaprio line yet.
Yeah, it's true.
I will say one of the things that I kind of give the movie credit for, the villain didn't have this huge overarching scheme, at least from what was put on the movie. Like we were saying, it could have been different when they actually shot it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not this, I'm going to take over the world, I'm going to destroy the city. It's just, I'm after these 3 people to stop them.
Yeah, because I want to be the only powerful.
Or because they're going to kill him, apparently.
Yeah.
So I think that's an interesting villain motive, but the villain himself is not very interesting.
No. Yeah. So, Madam Web from 2024 is directed by S.J. Clarkson. She's done a lot of TV, not anything else really. Stars Dakota Johnson, Sydney Sweeney, Isabella Merced, Celeste O'Connor, Tahar Rahim, Mike Epps, Emma Roberts, Adam Scott, Carrie Bechet, and Zosha Mamet. IMDb score of 3.9, Rotten Tomatoes score of 11%. Budget $80 million. Box office 43.8 US, $100 million worldwide.
I can see, usually whenever we talk about the money that's put into this, sometimes we're saying like, where is that money? You could see all the money that's on screen here, because it looks this could have used a budget of 150 million to really.
Yeah, $80 million is not a lot of money in regards to this sort of movie, so it is surprising that it was that small of a budget.
Yeah.
It was funny when certain people just started popping up in the movie.
Emma Roberts.
Oh. Yeah, it was like Emma Roberts pops up. Mike Epps pops up.
Yeah, why is Mike Epps there?
so Mamet pops up. I'm like, the hell?
Even even the chick that the villain kills in the bed, Jill Hennessy. She was crossing Jordan for several seasons.
Yeah, it's like, did they just see the Marvel Sony thing and was like, oh, it's going to be one of those movies? And then they all got the set and realized the same thing, Dakota Johnson.
Well, yeah, I think there was a story of potentially agents weren't forthright with her. It was either her or Sydney Sweeney, where it was they sold this as a strictly Marvel movie and not a Sony movie, if I remember correctly, but I don't remember which one it was. I think it was Dakota Johnson.
Yeah, it was Dakota. I think that's why she kind of pushed back on saying anything good about the movie at all. Because I feel like she was behaving like someone who got duped. Who was like salty about it.
I suppose the original script was much different.
Yeah.
From reading the trivia, it was like a Terminator. Like they use her powers to have to try and protect the pregnant Emma Roberts. Basically.
I will say one thing I did like about it was I actually liked the baby shower scene because it was really relatable because she's like, I've been here before. I've done this before. Because it's like every fucking baby shower is exactly the same. That's what I think every time I have to go to one. I'm like, oh, again, we get to play the same games, like diaper bingo for like hours. So I was like, this is relatable. This is the one part of the movie where I'm like, I get it. It's not even what they were going for, but I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just very much, she has the energy, Dakota Johnson, of I don't know how much real life, like how much acting was going on for those things. Like getting dragged into this baby shower, just like, fuck, this is like 20 minutes and like 8 takes. Okay. Just that's her energy.
Okay. Well, I think we lost Dan for a quick second, but we're going to get into the plot.
Yes.
Before we do, we'll plug Top 10 with Tia on Geek Vibes Nation, on YouTube, wherever you get their stuff, and Game Vault Pod.
Yep. Yeah. So I can do real fast in terms of Game Vault Pod. Until Tom and Jen come back, I'm basically solo everything. So I do a weekly gaming news wrap up every Friday night at 9 p.m. on Twitch, which goes live on podcast services and YouTube on Monday. And then I stream like 3 or 4 times a week over on twitch.tv/GameVaultPod. It's a lot of fun, kind of just sort of keeping everything level until my co-hosts come back. It's going to be a lot of fun. I was worried about doing a weekly news show, but apparently I picked the right time of year because there's been something great to talk about every week. So be sure to tune in live if you can. You can interact with me, correct me if I say things wrong. It's a good old time.
Okay, great. We're going to take a quick break, and you guys are going to listen to messages from friends of the podcast. So we will be right back. And welcome back now. It's time to get into the plot for Madam Web. And this one is via themoviespoiler.com and our friend Jeremy, who this was submitted by. Thanks, Jeremy. I didn't have to write notes this week.
He feels like, not to steal something from the other podcast, those guys that would write full-on walkthrough guides for like the worst video games ever created, just because somebody's got to do it.
In the Lord's work. This counts as a baptism for Jeremy. He is now sinless. This is penance. He did it. All right, so Madam Web, 1973, Peruvian Amazon, Constance Webb, Carrie Bechet, is researching a rare spider alongside her coworker Ezekiel Sims. She is pregnant and a bit weak, but she pushes through.
Oh, I forgot the greatest part of this scene is where she gets like the contraction pain or whatever that's supposed to be, and then comes up and like lifts her shirt so you can see the baby bump. And like makes it very obvious in that scene.
You gotta let people know you're pregnant.
Yeah, she just had to, just in case if your audience didn't get it, I'm not having stomach cramps. I'm pregnant.
It wasn't the clam dip, it's a baby.
Yeah.
It wasn't from the water. She didn't drink the water.
Sims turns on the whole once the spider is located, Sims turns on the whole team and shoots them dead. Constance struggles to grab the spider from him, but Sims shoots her too and leaves her for dead. From the trees, a tribe of hidden warriors, Las Arañas, emerge and grab Constance, bringing her to the secret cave. They bring her into
CGI.
Yeah. Mark, do you know what Las Arañas means in Spanish?
My guess would be the spider, but
yes, that's exactly what it is.
In my head, I'm like, Ant's either setting me up for a trick question, or
it's exactly what you think it is.
Or it's exactly what I think it is. And with Ant, it's usually 50-50 in those cases.
Spanish is probably just a better language.
Yeah, it sounds so much cooler than Spider People. or whatever they're called for the rest of the movie.
They bring her into a pool where they use the same spider to bite Constance before she gives birth to her daughter. Before dying, Constance sees her baby and is told by the Ranyas chief that the girl will be meant for something great. We then cut to 2003 in Queens. The girl grows up to be Cassandra Cassie Webb. Dakota Johnson working as a paramedic with Ben Parker, Adam Scott. Yes, comma, it's Uncle Ben. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks, Jeremy.
After taking care of an emergency, Cassie and Ben return to the hospital where the son of her patient gives her a drawing for helping his mom. But Cassie is weird and awkward about it until Ben makes her take the picture. This is part of Cassie being a cunt that I just love.
I love Ben's line here where he goes, "Just stick it in your pocket and throw it out somewhere else." like you can do this politely, Cassie.
Yeah.
And going back to you mentioning the year, Ant, they aggressively remind you it's 2003 throughout this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no talk of 9/11.
There is no talk of 9/11. That is true. They're first responders.
Yeah, and that also, it being 2003, when someone was like, she's a fugitive, but somehow she got on a flight to the Amazon.
Yeah.
If they just made it take place in early 2001 or in 2000, that would have been much more plausible.
Yeah, you could have killed Ben
right
Parker.
Right after 9/11. Yeah.
You could have killed Ben Parker in one of the towers, too.
Oh, Jesus. That's so good, Ant.
Right.
Why is Ben in one of the towers, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he be? He's a first responder.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's dark, but it would work, honestly.
Talk about a missed opportunity there, Sony.
You would have to kill Richard Parker, right? Because Ben raises Peter.
Well, I mean, this is a new universe. So you can do whatever you want.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and now listen, I'm gonna nerd out because every Spider-Man has that Ben Parker moment. If Into the Spider-Verse has taught us anything,
he had it with Iron Man.
Canon
with Tony Stark.
But he's Spider-Man at that point already.
We already have the Ben Parker moment in the MCU, and it is Tony Stark.
Sure, but
it's a remix version of it, but it 100% is.
Yeah, it is. That's true because there's no Ben Parker in his Spider-Man world.
This could easily devolve into just Spider-Man conversation. So
God.
We'll do it later.
No.
Yeah, but if they said it before 2003, you couldn't spend half the budget licensing Toxic by Britney Spears.
Yeah, that's very true.
According to the trivia, that is the exact reason why this takes place in 2003.
No. They based it off of Britney Spears, that's it?
I feel like I read that this week.
That's great.
I don't remember where. I don't remember if it was in the IMDb trivia, but I feel like I read that. Yeah.
Shows the power of Britney Spears.
Yep. Oh, no, here it is. Yeah. The filmmakers set the film in 2003 so that they could feature Britney Spears' song Toxic. Decision taken by the skin of one's teeth. Toxic was not published as single until January 12th, 2004, but the In the Zone album was published November 15th, 2003.
Wow. Jesus Christ. Like,
I think it's a good move. If you're not going to kill Ben Parker in 9/11, you could just give him that like the lung that they got, the mesothelioma, I guess, or asbestosis. Yeah.
You're hell bent on killing Ben Parker.
I mean, so is Marvel.
Yeah.
This is the one movie Ben Parker's in that he doesn't die. So historically, Sims now lives in New York, haunted every night by a dream in which 3 young women with spider powers attack and kill him. Sims sleeps with an undercover NSA agent who he tells this to.
Some would call that weird.
Yeah. And they didn't hit him with a shovel, though, there, Mark. No. Relax.
See? That's telling you the shovel is the thing.
Relax. After he finds out who she really is, Sims uses his powers inherited by the rare spider to poison the agent. I completely missed the fact that she was some sort of agent.
Me too.
Talk about going above and beyond. She's like, I'll fuck this guy.
Yeah,
well, that's what a good agent does, I guess.
The only thing I could figure out is she has her ID on the table. I don't know if he finds that and puts it on the table, or if she put it on the table.
That would be a hilarious slip up on her part.
Yeah.
Oops.
Oops. That's the only part of that scene I couldn't figure out, because once that happens is when he grabs her and does the neurotoxin thing, which might be one of the most badass parts of this movie, is where he's like, tell me what I want to know before the toxin gets to your lips is a pretty decent villain line.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. But the rest of the time he uses that power, it's completely useless.
I think he only uses it one other time on Cassie, right?
Yeah, it's this
I
great
think so,
power
yeah.
that he can use, but he uses it on that girl, uses it on Cassie, and then that's it.
I want Jess. You might know more about this than I do. Is Ezekiel an actual comic character?
I am not sure.
Yeah, I can't recall.
I'm gonna look this up. I normally would just like wake my husband up and ask him, but
Mike, we
I
need you.
gave him a migraine. So let me see.
Dakota Johnson gave him a mic.
Yeah, you know what? I shouldn't pin this on myself, honestly. I'm looking this up right now.
It's all Don
Okay, yeah,
Johnson
he
and
is
Melody Griffith's fault.
He is a he is a real character in the comics.
Okay.
He was a supporting character in Spider-Man and Silk stories. You know who
Interesting.
Silk is, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that character. I wonder if he's a good guy or a bad guy. I mean, he's bad here, obviously, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Some of those people have the track record of a WWE wrestler.
Man,
So so in the comics, he wanted to be a hero, but instead he just used his powers to develop a corporation and make himself really rich.
So he's like a right-wing extremist. He's like a Ben Shapiro who's a failed filmmaker and then made his own like little corporation.
Yeah.
So you're saying this Ezekiel started the Daily Wire?
Yes.
Yeah, Ezekiel didn't go like full MAGA nut job apparently, but he's less Ben Shapiro, more Jeff Bezos.
Oh,
who's terms of
worse?
vibe, which like honestly isn't much better in practice. But in theory is like less shitty.
I mean, he's employing people, I guess, then, but he still has world domination on the bucket list, right?
But he has helped Spider-Man in like some fights. Like so like he's not good or he's not bad, but he isn't as much of a hero. It could have been because he was like, I could be a hero or I could be rich. I'm gonna be rich, which fair. But
yeah, in this economy, you got to pick rich.
Right, he's like, listen, I could be a hero or I could afford a medical bill someday.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'd be sitting down there like, well, there's already a Spider-Man. Like, I feel like everybody's got it covered.
Yeah, he's pretty much got this under wraps. So
yeah, I feel like I'd just be stepping on his toes.
Yeah, he's like, you know what? This is handled. I'll buy my own island. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then if like worst case scenario, if Spidey needs me, I'll be in the bullpen. But that's break in case of emergency kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, Ezekiel.
In case of Secret Wars, break the glass.
I do like the idea of just this guy being such a loser Spider-Man that he's like, I'll make my own thing. I'll show you guys.
I'll make my own Snow White.
I was canceled by Spider-Man.
Cassie and Ben respond to an emergency of a car dangling over a bridge. Although they manage to get the driver out, Cassie is left trapped in the car as it falls into the river. Powerful force envelops Cassie and appears to activate something inside of her as she sees and hears things before being revived by Ben. Talk about the rescue effort for Cassie is just Ben, which I found upsetting.
Oh no, Cassie fell. Someone should go get her.
Yeah, I mean, she was being a cunt. Maybe they were like, guys, this is like...
Oh, that bitch.
That would have been pretty cloudy there, Ben. I don't know. I don't know if we ever see her.
I didn't see anything.
It is the Hudson, so who knows what's in that water? Right? Like, we got to go in after. Oh, I don't want to get cancer, Ben.
Little do they know they'll all get cancer from 9/11 in a few short years.
Well, that already happened. Right?
Cassie later goes to a baby shower for Ben's sister-in-law, Mary, Emma Roberts. Cassie makes things awkward during the games when she mentions how her mother died giving birth to her. She makes Mary uncomfortable. Gotta love it. Cassie also experiences a moment that she thought already happened at the party, brushing it off as deja vu.
Remember, it's very rare, Aunt, that has childbirth.
I gotta say, I think that scene is kind of pointless after she explains how her mother died. You don't really like nothing is accomplished in that other than she had a vision, but it's not an important vision.
Nope. Yeah, because we already know what happened to her mother.
Yeah,
we the audience.
And my wife pointed out what she thought was going to happen was that they have a quick shot of Ben flipping the burgers. So she was saying, "Oh, the grill's going to catch on fire." And she's going to foresee it and stop a fire from happening. But no, it means nothing. Because they talk about the burgers too when she first gets there. Like, when you put the burgers down, right? Like that becomes flammable.
Jen would have made this a better movie.
I agree. I've already said this, but
great.
All of my jokes, all my good jokes are from my wife.
Dan's got writer for this show.
Yes. I have to bring my A game, and my A game is my wife. So
fire breaks out in a nearby building. Cassie and Ben go to respond, but while Cassie is tending to an injured man, she sees a vision of her over the body of her coworker O'Neill, played by Mike Epps, with his blood on her hands, where she snaps back to the present. Realizing something is going to happen, she tries to get O'Neill to let her drive the ambulance he is supposed to drive, but he tells her to hang back.
Now, I never taken CPR classes, but I've been under the impression that it's a two-step operation in terms of doing it and not just constantly pumping the chest the entire time.
To the tune of Staying Alive.
Well, yeah, you do that, and then you go and you do the breath thing, then you go back, breath thing, go back.
Breath thing.
Yeah, I don't know what to call that. But, but in this, they're like, I guess we can't do the mouth-to-mouth part. We just... I think
it's mouth-to-mouth.
Yeah. It came to me as I was thinking about that. I think breath thing is better.
That'd be honest. If that's how they taught everyone.
With CPR, they say if you're not trained in it, to just do the chest compressions and not do the mouth to mouth. But like they were trained.
She better be.
This is literally their job.
Unless she was what's the term they're using for a certain hire, right? What do they call it now that everyone's all pissed off about?
DEI.
A Nepo baby EMT.
Yeah. We had to fill a quota.
Yeah.
That would be my luck. I would get that EMT.
That's the EMT you get.
But more likely in this movie, Dakota Johnson says, I am not putting my mouth on the thing, and pointed at the extra.
Yeah.
Mike Epps?
No. The random guy that she's doing CPR to before that.
Sorry, Mr. Epps. I'm not doing that.
She may have said no to him too, but the extra part, she's probably like, I am not doing mouth to mouth.
That's probably not far from the truth.
She probably came to set that day like, I'm not feeling the mouth to mouth part, so we're not going to do that.
That extra was like, damn it.
Not 10 seconds later does a truck smash into O'Neill's ambulance, and he is dead before Cassie can get to him.
Oh my! I laughed so fucking hard when the dump truck smashes into the ambulance, because it's just you see it in the background.
Yeah.
Just all of a sudden, wham! So funny. Where's the dump truck going? They're on a pier.
Yeah, that is. I didn't even think of that at the time, but
Yeah. They do an aerial shot, and they're like, there's nowhere for the dump truck to go.
That was the cheapest vehicle they could rent for the day.
I think
it was the dump truck driver's first day. And they didn't have GPS back then. He's out there like folding a map and trying to figure out where he has to pick up all the trash or something.
I think I made a left turn when I should have made a right turn. Oh no.
I'm here to pick up garbage. Give me Dakota Johnson.
Oh shit.
The despaired Cassie goes back home and fears she cannot control what she sees. She then has another vision where a bird flies into her window, breaking it and dying upon impact. Realizing it's a vision, Cassie leaves the window open so the bird can fly in and out easily, which tells her she can alter events.
Yeah, and she has the line, she says to herself, this can't work. Before she opens the window.
Followed by the line, oh, I guess you don't die.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Excellent dialogue.
Sims works with his assistant Amaria, played by Zosha Mamet, to track down his potential killers using face scanning technology. They land on three teenagers: Julia Cornwall, Sydney Sweeney, Anya Corazon, Isabella Merced, and Martha Maddie Franklin, Celeste O'Connor. Cassie boards a train just as the three girls start boarding the same one. Cassie sees a vision of Sims killing all three of them. Quickly gets them all out immediately, but the girls think Cassie is trying to kidnap them. It isn't until they witness Sims crawling on the ceiling in a black Spider-Man-like suit and him attacking and killing police officers they realize they are in danger.
We sure he's the villain?
Oh man. Yeah.
I think at this point people still had some respect for the police, right? Because we're kind of coming off of that
Yeah, that's true.
9/11.
The whole
We're
these colors don't run.
Yeah.
Never forget.
Freedom fries.
Freedom
Yeah.
fries. They're still calling them freedom fries in 2003.
If they wanted to be accurate, they would have called that in the diner scene.
Yeah.
I'll get an order of freedom fries.
Or she calls them French fries, and then Ben's like, "Don't you mean freedom fries?"
Get with the times, Cassie.
Cassie steals a cab and gets the girls to join her after they manage to escape Sims and get there through their awkward introductions. Cassie brings them to the woods to try and explain the visions that she has been seeing. Three girls then realize that they know Cassie in some way. Julia is the stepdaughter of Cassie's patient, one who gave someone's drawing. Anya knows Cassie is someone who lives in her building and leaves her junk mail all over the place. And Maddie flipped Cassie off when she almost hit her with the ambulance, since Maddie rode her skateboard in front of her. Does that fact ever play anything?
No.
I don't think so.
No, I think the only fun part of this whole explanation thing was I did like the back and forth when Cassie goes, "Oh yeah, you flipped me off," and she's like, "You're gonna have to be more specific than that."
Yeah.
She's like,
she's a
bad. Pretty good response.
Just flipping everybody, the bird, man.
This is New York. Flip off everybody. what a tenuous. Oh, I'm sorry, Jess. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say like that was one of the other elements of the movie that like my husband mentioned a lot. He was like, "Why is like Dakota Johnson's character so shocked by everything related to New York City traffic? Like apparently she's lived there like most of her life. She's been working there long enough where like she knows her way around, but she's always shocked that like cab drivers cut people off.
Right.
Why? She drives like a tourist."
Yeah, that's very true. She's very surprised by all the people who inhabit the city.
Yes, that might be the worst insult you've said on this podcast.
Jess, you guys are right. When she's on the train at first, and she's talking. She has the vision of the guy in the Mets hat saying, "Oh, New York's crazier than ever." She's like looking at him, all like, "Did you really just say that?" Yeah, like, have you heard the things that people say on the subway?
Yeah, like that's like the least concerning thing I've ever heard anyone say on a train.
Oh yeah, that's very tame.
Cassie leaves the girls. Okay,
that's nothing. That's nothing.
Cassie leaves the girls.
That's nothing.
That's true. Yeah, he at least he had the decency to be dressed.
Yes. Cassie leaves the girls in the woods so that Sims can't find them while she goes to investigate. Cassie goes back to her apartment and finds pictures and journals belonging to Constance, along with a picture of her and Sims. Meanwhile, the girls get bored and restless, so Maddie convinces them to go to a nearby diner and get food before Cassie returns. Julia and Anya follow her, and they start hanging out with some boys. Cassie returns to the woods and doesn't find the girls. She sees a vision of them at the diner, where Julia and Maddie are killed before Sims takes Cassie out. She rushes to the diner, but Sims makes it there first. Before he can reach the girls, Cassie crashes through the front of the diner and plows into Sims. The girls run to the car and flee, where Cassie chastises them for not listening to her. At the same time, Sims learns from Amaria that Cassie is Constance's daughter. Cassie brings the girls to a motel room to properly hide them. They then explain their situations and how they have nowhere else to go. Julia's mother is in a psych ward, and her father remarried to a woman that Julia feels doesn't want to be around her. Anya's mother died when she was young, and her father got deported while she was at school, and she fears the same will happen to her. Maddie's father is a wealthy but crooked politician, and she wants little to do with him. Cassie decides to try and dig deeper to find out how to stop Sims while leaving the girls with Ben. Cassie goes back to the diner, where she experiences some kind of psychic connection to Sims. He knows of her powers and tells her why he is hunting the girls down, but Cassie says that there's no way that they would be capable of killing him.
I guess I missed this in school, knowing about the spiders that can be telepathic.
Sure.
You mean Las Arañas?
Yeah. They didn't teach me that in Spanish class. Or maybe I wasn't paying attention. That's very possible.
They didn't have a chapter on the Peruvian Amazon, I guess.
Well, Jess and I went to the same school. Jess, maybe I missed out on that. Do you remember that being taught in our curriculum?
With my Spanish class, we would just trick her into playing Selena every day, and we would always tell her, "Oh, we're not done yet. We're only at like the second scene." So we just watched Selena for an entire semester. So
that's awesome.
I definitely didn't learn that. I didn't learn the Spanish word for spider or spider people because we were just too busy watching Selena.
You couldn't have gotten La Bamba in there?
Nah, just Selena, because it's like if we had to start a new movie, she might have put a lesson in between it, and we didn't want that.
That's true.
Cassie flies to Peru and visits the location where Constance was working. She finds the chief of Las Arañas, who brings Cassie to the cave where she was born, separates her spirit from her physical form, which causes her to see visions of her mother while she was pregnant. Though Cassie grew up believing her mother didn't want her, she sees that Constance worked so hard to ensure Cassie would be born healthy, as she was at risk of contracting a fatal disease, general myasthenia gravis, and Constance was researching ways to remedy the condition. Cassie returns to her body and starts to make her way back home. Back in New York, Mary's water breaks and Ben has to drive all the ladies to the hospital. Maria gets a scan on the girls, and Sims starts making his way towards them. Cassie finds nobody home and sees a vision of Sims killing everyone downtown. Cassie then steals an ambulance and races to save them.
This is the second car she's stolen, by the way.
It's true. Yeah. Stole a cab before.
Yep.
Sims catches up to everyone and nearly detonates a grenade, but Cassie crashes through a billboard into Sims before retrieving the girls and leaving Ben and Mary to continue to the hospital. Cassie has the girls work with her to keep Sims off their backs while she speeds through the streets until the ambulance dies. They make it to a warehouse where Cassie radios for a chopper to get them out of there. She has the girls set out. This is part where I started to not pay attention, so this is all new to me. They start going off as he makes it while the girls rush to the rooftop. Although they try to get higher, Sims brings the chopper down. 3 girls make some attempt to help Cassie, but they're all left hanging over the edge for their lives. And Sims taunts Cassie with how she can't save them all. But remembering her experience with Las Arañas, Cassie astral projects herself to save each girl before leading Sims into a trap.
Yes, the worst foreshadowing ever.
The warehouse's sign starts to collapse, and Sims starts to get stuck under falling debris. Cassie tells him that his visions weren't warning him about the girls, they're warning him about her. Sims plummets to the ground where he is crushed by a falling Pepsi sign. Jeremy decided to put in a parenthetical. That's not a joke. Cassie falls into the river as well, with one of the fireworks flying into her face, blinding her. Julia jumps into the river to get to Cassie before Anya and Maddie administer CPR like Cassie taught them, allowing them to revive her.
What a lame way to die. Crushed by a giant Pepsi sign.
I know.
Earlier in the movie, like a scene before this, Cassie drops a fucking ambulance on top of him.
Right.
How does he not die?
There's still too much of the movie left.
I guess. Is there... But what's the difference?
Is he diabetic?
He diabetic.
I don't know.
Too much Pepsi.
If it were diet, maybe he would have made it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's true.
If you had to be crushed by a sign of a soft drink, what would you want the soft drink to be?
Maybe maybe 7-Up. Right? A little red dot. Giving the thumbs up.
You want Spot to crush you?
Yeah, sure. At least he's memorable.
I would go with, I think, Surge, like old school. I miss Surge.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
That stuff was
Yeah,
so
we're going.
good.
That's extreme. That's the extreme way to die.
That is, yeah.
Yeah,
the
I'm going
most
out with a
extreme.
bang.
Hell
Does,
yeah.
does the mug root beer dog count?
Sure.
Yes. Oh my god. Can I change my answer?
I suppose I'll pick the Kool-Aid Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he'd be the kind of person like kill you accidentally.
Well, it's a sign, don't forget. It's just a
Yeah,
sign of the
yes,
Kool-Aid
Just a
Man.
sign.
Yeah.
You know, all
At
of
the
us
hospital. Oh, good.
I would say all of us are just letting that one go, I guess.
At the hospital, the girls gather around Cassie's bedside, each of them grateful to one another for saving their lives. Meanwhile, Mary gives birth to a healthy baby boy. His name is never said, but it's obvious he will one day become a certain famous web slinger. Thanks again, Jeremy.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Cassie is
Jeremy.
left Cassie is left blind, paralyzed below the waist, but she has taken in Julia, Anya, and Maddie to live together in her apartment on an EMT salary. Cassie tells them of another vision she has in which the 4 of them don their suits to become superpowered crime fighters. Cassie smiles as she looks forward to the future. Like the worst sunglasses I've ever seen.
Oh man, this is one of the instances where comic accuracy does no favor.
Yeah.
That costume not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love at this point that
Oh, sorry. I have a theory of how she's able to afford to do all that on an EMT salary. So, like, her name is Madam Webb. Do you think she's pimping the girls out?
That's
Oh,
Probably.
It's like instead of her being a superhero, she runs a brothel.
Yeah. Like, that's what they got the suits for. They didn't actually use them to fight crime in the movie. It's implied they might be using. That's like, if this were a Lifetime movie, that's the direction it would have gone in, I think.
I think that's the Brazzers movie.
Madam Webb is actually Ghislaine Maxwell.
Plot twist.
And
sure it wasn't directed by M. Night?
Sydney Sweeney goes to Theo Epstein's island.
The New York financier?
Wait. Time out.
Yeah. Jeffrey Epstein.
Did you say Theo?
Oh, he's the GM for the Cubs.
Yes.
He might have been there too. You never know.
Okay. I just had to.
We don't know.
I had to make sure I heard that correctly. And ants laugh immediately when I told me I did.
The Cubs general manager? The New York financier?
Wait a minute. No, he's dead.
That's such a good bit.
All right, well, that is Madam Webb. You've all heard of it. It's terrible. It's on Netflix, though, if you have it.
This was a kind of movie that I didn't think I would honestly watch.
That's what this podcast is for, Dan.
Yeah,
exactly.
But I didn't know. I didn't think we would do it. To be honest, I thought it was one of those. This was. I'm not knocking that we did it. I just thought this would be out of our not our realm. But I didn't know if it would really interest us. But I'm glad that we did it because it
definitely fit in our wheelhouse.
100%. And it was. Jess and I were talking off podcast that it was almost fortuitous that we did this movie because last week Jess had messaged me like, "Oh, Mike and I are watching Madam Web," and when Anthony told us that like, "Oh, we're gonna do Madam Web," I gotta ask Jess to be on this. She just watched it.
Yeah, because it was my husband's idea to watch it, and I had texted Dan, and I was like, "My husband is making me watch Madam Web." I was like, "Do I get a restraining order?" Is that
Yeah. Is this marriage on the rocks? Is this what's happening?
He forced me to watch Twilight once. Like, I wasn't feeling well, so like I couldn't really get up. And he turned on the TV. He put on one of the Twilight movies, and he hit all the remotes.
Mike,
that's abusive, right? Like, I should call it. I think.
You think you know a guy.
Honestly, Mike's MO is not far from the MO of this podcast. Having forced these two to watch several Twilight movies as well as Madam Web.
Anthony is the Mike of our relationship.
Yeah, hide all the remotes. All right, well, that is Madam Web. And we're going to take a quick break before we're back with a third segment. But you guys are going to listen to messages from some sponsors, so we pay those bills. And we will be right back. And welcome back. Now it's time for our third segment. And this week is a tier list. We're going to make a tier list. Yeah. So I'm going to share my screen. It is not Shades of Grey this time. This is an actual this is an actual list, and it is in celebration of our star Dakota Johnson. We are doing Nepo babies. We have, you guys can see this?
I cannot.
You cannot.
Yes.
Are you looking at Discord?
Yes, I got it.
Okay. So we have a list, S tier through F tier, of these Nepo babies. We got some. Looks like Colin Hanks. We got Jamie Lee Curtis, Margaret Qualley. What else we got? Kate Hudson, Chet Hanks. You know, the good ones. But yeah. Let's rank some. Who wants to go? Jess is your guest. Who would you like to rank first, or bring to the table for a ranking?
Oh, that's tough. You know what?
Know if we need any explanation.
I really like Wyatt Russell.
Actually. Okay. Yeah, good old Wyatt Russell. Where would you feel like he would belong?
I want to say I would put him at B.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
I think that's fair.
That. Can I pick more than one per tier? Do that.
Sure.
Actually,
give it? We'll just go around. You pick a second one, and we'll just go around with two pieces, and then we'll come back around to you.
Okay. Yeah, I like Nick Cage is good.
Ooh.
I would put him at the top, I think.
S tier.
Yeah. No arguments here.
Yeah, 100%.
Nicolas Cage is S tier. Yeah.
I think we're all going to go there next. If you didn't.
All right. Okay. Dan, what about you? Give me 2.
Okay, let's go Colin Hanks.
Okay.
I like Colin Hanks. I'm going to put him as B as well.
Interesting.
I like Colin Hanks, but I don't think he's at the top.
Okay.
All right, let's go. We got to fill out the bottom. Let's fill out some bottom.
Okay.
Let's go. I'm struggling with the name. Gwyneth Paltrow. Let's put Gwyneth Paltrow at D.
Ooh, D. Okay. No argument for me on that one. Yeah. Mark, what about you? Give me 2.
All right. I'll do one top and bottom. Let's put let's get a perfectly average thing. Let's do Elle Fanning at C.
Okay.
That's a good place.
Yeah.
Now with her at C, I almost feel like Gwyneth Paltrow, you could argue an F.
Yeah. I just couldn't put her on the same list as Wyatt Russell and Colin Hanks. So
No.
Sure.
Yeah,
Can we put Angelina Jolie at the top too? I didn't see her, and I didn't realize it was her. I had to squint because I bet eyesight.
Yeah,
but
I lost track of. Fine. Do we want to put Jaden Smith at F?
If that's what you want. Yeah. You wanted a Jaden Smith at F? We could do Jaden Smith at F.
How do we know our eyes are real?
Yeah. I am going to go F2. I'm going to put Hailey Bieber at F. I don't like her vibe. I don't think she brings anything to the table. Just saying that. And I'm going to go S tier. I'm going to go bottom and top here. Carrie Fisher, S tier.
Sure.
Yeah.
I will not be taking any questions on that one. Okay. Jess, what do you give us 2 more?
I think the Skarsgård brothers for A.
Ooh, yeah.
I like them both.
They're solid actors.
And Bill's all the way at the bottom.
Weird looking Bill.
That's what his friends called him in school. Weird looking Bill.
It's a very accurate nickname.
Sure.
All right. Dan, what about you?
All right, I feel like we got to get our titular actor in here somewhere. Dakota Johnson. I'm going to put her at C.
Okay.
Only because she does not give a shit about anything, and I like that.
Look, we've trashed on her a lot this week. I like Dakota Johnson.
Yeah, she's funny.
Yeah.
I think her most endearing quality is that she doesn't give a shit.
Right. Yeah. She speaks truth. She stands on business too.
She does. Yeah.
Ellen.
Calling out Ellen. Yeah. I love it. All right.
Okay.
Let's go. I'm looking at Charlie Sheen, and I don't know where to put him.
He's problematic, dude.
Very problematic. Let's go. You know what? Yeah, put him D. Put him.
I was like, do we make D the problematic line?
Yeah.
And F is just for people that bring nothing to the table.
All right, Mark, where are you going?
I think we'll keep the theme going with siblings. Can we put the Gyllenhaals in A with the Skarsgårds?
Interesting. Do you put the Gyllenhaals at A?
I don't agree with that, but it's not my choice.
All right.
I know how you feel about Jake Gyllenhaal.
Look, when he wants to write a song as a response to Taylor Swift, then I'll be all ears. But he hasn't yet. So, all right. For me, you know what? I'm bringing Chet Hanks into the into the conversation, but he seems like he's going to sidle up right next to Charlie Sheen.
Keep it on theme.
White Boy Summer.
White Boy Summer, right?
Oh boy,
is that what he brings to the table? White Boy Summer.
White Boy Summer. Yeah. Okay. Who's my last pick?
There's one on the board that I just noticed.
I think I'm gonna go. Speaking of female pop stars, I'm gonna go with Miley. No one else on this has written or performed a song because she didn't write it. Quite like Party in the USA. And if Gyllenhaals are getting an A, so's Miley.
That's fair.
Because Bangers is full of bangers. And that's all there is.
Aptly titled.
Do we want to pull the only other S on that list up there and drag Jamie Lee Curtis up there?
I think that's fair. Oscar winner.
Yeah.
Scream Queen.
Yeah, I saw her at the end when you started with your picks. I was like, fuck, I didn't even see her.
I was gonna say all the Oscar winners are S tier, but then there's Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah. Win an Oscar?
Was that?
Carrie Fisher.
I guess she didn't. No, but
I mean, that's cool.
Nicolas Cage, Angelina Jolie, and Jamie Lee Curtis did.
Yeah.
And Jamie Lee Curtis is a Street Fighter fan, so I love her forever for that.
Ah, there you go.
She showed up at cons, like she showed up at one in a Vega mask.
Oh,
that's
she's
awesome.
so cute.
I love that. He was my favorite character.
Others we didn't place. We got Zoe Deutsch, kid from Hereditary. I don't know who his dad is.
I wonder who his parents are.
Oh, I think it's he has a brother who looks just like him.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if their parents are famous, but I know he's got a brother, and I always think they're the same person.
Interesting. Right? I didn't know that.
We got the Hadids. We got Margaret Qualley, Washington's Kid, History's Greatest Sequel, Zoe Kravitz.
History's Greatest Sequel.
That's great.
Emma Roberts, who beat up Evan Peters that one time. Probably more than once.
Does she fall? Does she go into D tier for that?
Emma Roberts is quite problematic. And Jack Quaid, who is not problematic.
Unlike
his dad.
Yeah, he's pretty good. And then we
did you hear what his dad said recently?
Oh yes.
What?
He basically said he's voting for Trump because he may be an asshole, but he's my asshole.
Way to go!
Yeah, great job. And he's also portraying Reagan in a movie. So
Dennis Quaid, why don't you just take a page out of Kurt Russell's book and just don't talk about it?
Right. Just shut the fuck up.
We all know where Kurt Russell's voting, but he doesn't say a damn thing about it. And that's why we still love Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
It's like we have that, and we have Escape from New York. He could do whatever he wants with the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis Quaid doesn't have Escape from New York.
Yeah.
Doesn't. What does he have?
The Parent
That's what
Trap.
I was gonna say. Like I don't
The
know.
rookie.
Right? Yeah. Right. Just like he hasn't done anything worthy of running his mouth like that.
Yeah, like I know he was in like the Lindsay Lohan Parent Trap remake, and I'm like 90% sure that's the only thing I've ever watched him in.
Sure.
Yeah.
His brother or cousin is Randy Quaid. Cousin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it runs in the family, I guess.
Yeah.
So pray for Jack Quaid.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
All right. Yeah. Well, that is our tier list. We got some S's and some F's. Jaden Smith and Haley Baldwin Bieber holding down the fort at the bottom of our list. I think that's fair. I think it's fair.
2 F's.
Yeah. Is there anybody else on this that we didn't put out that you would put F? Is that Cara Delevingne?
Cara Delevingne, maybe. But I mean, she,
I don't know. After what she did in Suicide Squad, she might belong there, if I'm being honest. I don't even dislike her, but she was woefully miscast in that.
I mean, Lynn's favorite movie.
Yeah, for some reason my wife does not mind that movie quite at all.
Well, is there a Jenner on here? Because I feel like that would be an F.
Yeah. All the way next to Drew.
Oh, yeah. Kendall.
She could go on the F.
Yeah. Who's this dude?
Who's this dude?
Random white guy.
Yeah.
Well, Maya Hawke could probably be A or B.
Sure. Not in that picture. She's obviously a D in
the
that
only
picture.
OG Nepo baby that we left out was Drew Barrymore.
I heard that, Ed.
What an oddly cropped picture.
Yeah, that's rough. That's deliberate.
Yeah, for sure. Who's the curly hair?
I don't know who this is.
Oh, that's what's her name? That's Kamala Harris's stepdaughter, Ella Emhoff.
Okay.
That's an interesting person because the rest of them are actors.
Well, she's a model, believe it or not.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I know that. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if anyone else would go on the F tier.
Yeah.
There's a couple more D's on there, but no more F.
All right. Yeah, that is our episode. Jess, thanks for joining us once again.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's always great having you here,
your
Jess.
next Dakota Johnson episode.
I think we're running out of Dakota Johnson movies. What could we possibly do?
We gotta talk to her agent and get her some more work.
Yes. We're running out of Dakota Johnson.
Where can our listeners find you?
I'm on Instagram and X, formerly known as Twitter, at Jess Sager. I also have Threads, but I have never used it. But you can find me there and follow me if you want to just never see any content because I refuse to download the app. But
seems to be the common experience with Threads.
I want as much room on my phone as possible for dog photos, so I can't download as many apps as I would normally want to.
Yeah. Priorities.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's gonna. Speaking of socials, check us out on our socials: TikTampod, Instagram, X formerly known as Twitter, as well as Threads. We are on TikTok at They Called This a Movie. Hit us up at Gmail, TikTampod@gmail.com, and give us a 5-star review on your podcatcher of choice. Well, that's all the ways to get a hold of us, and that's our episode. The director of Madam Web is S.J. Clarkson. So for Dan Aquino, Mark Myers, and Jess Sager, this is Anthony DeVecchio telling S.J. Clarkson, well, you certainly made a movie, didn't you? Thanks for listening to They Call This a Movie. Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts, and be sure to check us out on Twitter and Instagram at TikTampod. That's TCTAM Pod. You can also check us out on TikTok at They Call This a Movie.